Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wellsome, a podcast that meets wellness and self development. I am Vicky, and in each episode, I'm going to guide you through real conversation about health and personal growth. So, in today's episode, we are talking about a topic that is really close to my heart, especially because I've been experiencing myself, especially recently, which is nervous system dysregulation. And I know that it's a topic that everyone is interested about because in today's life we are rushing, we're pretty much stressed, and this affects our hormones, our gut, and our overall health. But in today's episode, I really wanted to bring someone who's an expert about nervous system regulations and last but not least, a breath working facilitator. So Constanze, welcome to Wellsome.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm very well.
Good,
Yes.
good. So today we're going to talk about, as I said, how to regulate your nervous system. And we're going to also talk about breath working because Constance is also like a breath work facilitator, as I said, and a somatic coach. So Constance, before diving deep into the topic, I really want to know your story and how you got into wellness.
All right, so how much time have we got, right? I'll try to make it as brief as possible.
Please.
So my journey with wellness or personal development started quite early. I was about 18 when I got very curious about the self and development. I would not have mentioned it in this kind of way, but there was this inner desire there needs to be more to life than just what society kind of shows us, right? And so I started to explore different spiritual realms. I became very interested in Eckhart Tolle, Osho, became a yoga teacher in my early 20s, became a Reiki practitioner, Theta healer. So that was like the journey in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Then I continued and I thought, you know, you get to this point of spiritual arrogance where you think you've kind of discovered it all. But I actually started to realize, I'm not really feeling like I'm living my full potential, and I'm not really feeling so happy inside of myself. It was more kind of like a bypassing, I would say, which we call today, right? Spiritual bypassing. And this is then when I discovered more deeper methods, such as in the beginning, it started with family constellations. So I became a family constellation therapist. And then I would say about 6-7 years ago, it was then nervous system regulation, somatics, embodiment work. And then I shifted everything after teaching yoga for, now almost 15 years and became a somatic coach and breathwork facilitator and just brought everything together of my journey over the last 20 years.
Nice. That's very interesting. So what I wanted to ask you is that, as mentioned before, and I know that you can perceive it even yourself through your work, we have been so much stimulated, and our nervous system is very easily triggered nowadays, especially because we live in a society that is very fast and we're exposed to stress a lot. So what can we do actually to help ourselves to regulate our nervous system? The first thing that comes into your mind.
So I would say, I always say nervous system regulation, when you do it properly, is actually very boring.
Yeah.
Because it's about slowing down. And slowing down is the love language of your nervous system.
Yeah.
So it's really about slowing down, less pressure, grounding yourself, noticing what are the resources that I have in my life. And I don't want to bash any of supplements or red light panels. Like, I love all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But we often think we need to go out there and buy the next big gadget and buy this and buy that. But it's really about slowing down, coming back to yourself, noticing, oh, how am I sitting right now? Can I make myself maybe just 1% more comfortable? And even now, saying this to you, I can feel in my body, there's like,
Yeah.
you don't need to be so nervous.
Yeah.
And, you know, the stress rushing here, I can feel, oh, there was still a little bit residue in my body.
Yeah.
And now, after that 1% shift, I can already feel, okay, I'm much more present with you. I'm much more myself.
Yeah.
And I'm less operating from a survival personality.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most common trigger for nervous system regulation? So what really triggers our nervous system?
so I understand you correctly, so what triggers more the dysregulation?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's definitely the overstimulation that you already mentioned. When we look back, we still have the same nervous systems we had hundreds of years ago. Yet now we receive maybe in an hour the amount of notifications we would have received back then in a lifetime.
Yeah.
So even
Crazy.
just letting that sink in.
Wow,
right?
even
Like,
by thinking about it, I have goosebumps. Yeah.
Same. So then, of course, all the lights, all the notifications, the added pressure, maybe financial difficulties. Life is getting more expensive, especially in a city like Dubai. And just all this added pressure, then kind of layered on top of maybe some childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And voila, there you have the nervous system dysregulation.
Yeah. And what do you think we can do actively to keep our nervous system on balance?
So I would say living authentically.
Okay, tell me more about it.
The easiest way and the most difficult way, right? Because we're so scared if we actually show up as our authentic self.
Yeah.
Who am I going to lose in the process? How do I might show up differently? Maybe I change careers like you did, right?
Yeah.
So inauthenticity is one of the most dysregulating things for your nervous system. So not really being true to yourself.
Interesting.
Living as a fake persona, pretending, people-pleasing, right? Is one of the survival states. We call it fawn state. So it's really about coming back to yourself and really noticing what is really true for me. And the more then you choose the truth over performance, this is how you can, without having to pay a coach or anyone, this is how you can regulate your nervous system. But of course, it's not that easy because we have these survival and these adaptive mechanisms for a reason.
Yeah.
So whenever I work with clients, I never shame them, even if they have a very bad habit like vaping.
Yeah.
And by the way, I used to vape myself and I still sometimes miss it, but I just
We're
know
not
it's so
perfect,
bad for
yes.
the health, right? But it's really about being curious, like, okay, interesting. What are you maybe soothing through the vaping? And can I maybe give you a better tool? But again, never shaming, because if we shame ourselves, shame again dysregulates. So, it's kind of like a very vicious cycle.
Yeah. It's a very delicate topic, by the way, and also so interesting because it includes in the umbrella is a lot of things are included, from your habits, your traumas, and your life, your environment, everything that can impact you. So like from the clients and the people that you were coaching, which is the number one triggers that you're noticing nowadays?
That's a really good question. I mean, we focus on women in the Achiever Studio, but I do have a lot of male one-on-one clients.
Yeah.
I would say at first they always come to us with, the desire to feel calmer, less stressed. But then, we dig deeper and then usually we uncover there's maybe some suppressed emotion. There's tension in the body that shows up as pain, but the pain is there for a reason. Body has been maybe bracing for decades to protect us from external factors, harsh criticism maybe that we've experienced in school or from our boss.
Yeah.
So in the end, I would say it's always that people are not really connected to themselves and overexert themselves and not really listen to themselves and not really listen to the boundaries.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that the breath working that you're doing is also connected to nervous system regulations, because this helps. So can you guide us through what really breath working can do to our nervous system?
So to work with the nervous system, I always say you can use the breath, you can use movement, awareness, sound. And breath is such a powerful tool because, first of all, it's always available. Again, it's free.
Yeah.
And you can literally within minutes shift your emotional, mental, physical, energetic, and even spiritual state.
Yeah.
So breath work is amazing to regulate your nervous system. And at the same time, it can be highly dysregulating for the nervous system.
Oh.
So there's like a nuance. So if you are already in a very fight-flight state, which means you are living life in a survival body, which many of us do. I often hear people tell me, oh, yeah, I don't have any childhood trauma, and And I'm always like, yeah, even if you don't have childhood trauma, the way you just move through life, to me, seems a little bit fighty or flighty. And then they pause and they're like, oh, yeah, maybe you're right. And then if you're already so activated to then do very intense Wim Hof breath work and have these big cathartic releases that people love to watch on TikTok and Instagram because it kind of looks cool and like, oh, yeah, I want to try that.
Yeah.
That's going to heal all my childhood trauma in a weekend.
Yeah.
And I just cringe because, first of all, I've been there myself. Years ago, I thought, oh, this is the way to go, right? Harder, faster, better.
Yeah.
But it's not. The nervous system likes it, again, soft, slow, steady. Can we create the right conditions for the trauma and stress to be released, but not through force and pushing, but more through allowing?
Interesting.
So, you see, this is a very nuanced conversation. And I'm sure some people are going to be like, what? I love Wim Hof. She's dissing my Wim Hof. I'm not dissing anyone here. I've tried Wim Hof myself. And when I'm really regulated and in a good place, I love doing some activating breath work.
Yeah.
But it's really about fine-tuning, and I'm sure you can relate with the nutrition stuff you do. Not everyone's medicine. Like for some people, it's medicine. For some people, it's poison. And it depends on where you and when and how,
Yeah. It's so interesting because at the end of the day, it's all about knowing yourself and know what works and what doesn't. And this topic is coming up very, very often when I'm talking to people into wellness. And it's really... I like the fact that we're bringing it up again because I love people to listen to it, and the fact that they need to listen also to their intuition, which is also part, I guess, to nervous regulation, nervous system regulation. Just listen to your inner self.
It comes back to the authenticity piece, right? Yeah. My business partner Anna and myself, we always say in the studio, if we have like a group of 15 women, myself and Anna included 17, we always say we have 17 experts in the room.
Wow, yeah.
Of course, maybe I'm a little bit further ahead and I've studied this and have lots of experience. But if I show you an exercise, I'll ask you afterwards, how does it feel in your body?
Yeah.
And maybe for everyone, it feels like, oh, I'm so relaxed. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so agitated. Like, and then I will see, okay, how can we find something for you that actually soothes your nervous system?
Interesting. So when it comes to breath working again, so how this can impact our nervous system on a maybe long term or like temporarily or immediately. So how does this impact our body in a tangible way the moment we start breath working?
So I would say there's like the immediate effect.
Yeah.
Even taking a few big deep belly breaths can have an immediate effect that your parasympathetic branch, which is responsible for rest and digest, gets triggered. So you can notice your heart rate slows down, your body softens, you feel a bit more at ease and relaxed. That's like short term. If you do long-term breath work, it can, of course, lead to just in general being more in that rested and digested state. Yeah. Having more flexibility that if you get triggered, right, you're on Shake Side Road and you almost have a car crash, but you've been doing lots of breath work. Yeah. Then to notice, okay, cool, I'm actually now able to shift out of that stressed state quicker. Yeah. And I would just say it allows you to have more flexibility over time. Yeah. But with everything, right? If I would be a personal trainer and I would want to teach you how to work a biceps, you would have to come back more than once. Yes. Right? So it's really about repetition, coming back to the practices again and again. And then we can slowly widen our window of tolerance to be able to deal better with whatever life throws at us. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess this can be easily integrated in our daily life because sometimes we use this excuse that we don't have time. But actually breathing is something that we do it naturally and we just need to put a little bit maybe more intention on it, you know, and maybe doing in the evening or in the afternoon. But I just want to hear your opinion about it, how you personally integrate breath working, if it's maybe, I don't know, it works better in the morning or in the evening, or again, it's bio-individual. So I want to hear your point of view about it. So I would say let's share a little bit about my personal practice. Yes. So my personal practice, the easiest way, and I do it quite often throughout the day, people who know me, they know, is to just do an extended exhale and to allow the body to
Yeah.
sigh, right? We're
Yes.
so cautious
Yeah.
not to be loud, not to make
Yeah.
strange noises.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
sometimes my body just needs a
And by the way, it's true
deep
what she's saying
exhale.
because I heard her before and I was like, it's so beautiful that she's doing that even now because she's allowing herself to be present, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the easiest hack if people want to take away like a short
Yeah.
hack from today's episode.
Yeah.
Then, of course, usually before I go to bed, I do like a 8-9 minute breathwork practice. Depends on what I feel.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just conscious connected breathing in through the nose,
Yeah.
out an extended exhale through the mouth.
Yeah.
Sometimes I combine it with gentle breath holds after the exhale. It really depends. And then,
Yeah.
of course, I love attending longer sessions. And these
Yes.
are as well the sessions I facilitate.
Yes.
That are then, I would say the brief practices are better to regulate yourself in your day-to-day. If you
Yeah.
feel a bit sluggish, to have more energy. If you feel a bit too activated and you want to sleep, to feel more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really want to look into, can I release stress, trauma, and maybe even have a deeper spiritual connection, soul connection,
Yeah.
then I would recommend it's good to do like a facilitated longer breathwork journey.
Yeah. And I assume from what you said now that there are different practices depending on how deeper you want to go, I guess. Yeah.
For sure. How deep you want to go, the effect, if you want to have it upregulating, downregulating. Again, this is where we come back to the nervous system,
Yeah.
right? If I have
Yeah.
a very anxious client who like that wakes up in the morning and has morning anxiety, I would never recommend her to do breath of fire or like
Yeah.
really intense breathing because that would just catapult her anxiety through the roof.
Yeah. And how you got exceptionally into breath working? There was maybe like a aha moment in your life that you felt that your nervous system was all over the place?
Yeah, so as a yoga teacher, right, in yoga, there's one leg of yoga is pranayama,
Yeah.
so yogic breathing. So this was my first touch point with breathing. Then I did a very, very comprehensive 200-hour breathwork teacher training with a very seasoned teacher back then in Germany.
Yeah.
And he showed us all different kind of techniques, but he as well was really, really good at connecting us to the spirit of breath in
Yeah.
the sense that breath is something that accompanies you from the day you're born, right?
Yeah.
The big cry when the baby screams.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, oh, it's screaming, it's
Yeah.
alive. And then you have the last breath when you die.
Yeah.
And to just realize that, how powerful breath is, and that breath is very connected as well to soul and spirit,
Yeah.
if this is something, that people believe in or open to.
Yeah.
That just really, really touched me very deeply. And
Yeah.
I could see how the breath has so much power to connect me personally to my emotions,
Yeah.
to work through stuff that I'm still holding on to.
Yeah.
And then I just continued on that journey, did trainings with different teachers,
Yeah.
had a phase where I knew, I'm really not liking these intense breathwork sessions, these longer sessions, but somehow they do something with me. So I sticked with it.
Yeah.
And then now over the last year, I've developed my own signature breathwork, sanctuary somatic breathwork,
Amazing.
which is blending the nervous system knowledge with somatics, with creating first safety and stability in the body. And it's very focused on feminine nervous systems.
Amazing. And I want to touch base with you the actually definition of fight or flight, which is very connected to this regulation that we're talking about, because I feel there's a lot of like this word that has become like so abused. So as an expert, I really want to touch base with you what really fight or flight means and how we can just start to, I don't want to say shut it down because it's not like a light that you can shut down, but you can, again, regulate and manage.
Yeah, and I love that you say shut down because no, we don't want to shut down fight flight.
Exactly.
Because fight flight is there for a reason. So it's our built-in natural response to a perceived threat. Right? If now suddenly here the fire alarm would go on, we would probably run out there and we would use flight. If suddenly someone would rush you into the studio and scream at us, we would probably respond with fight. So it is healthy to have healthy fight-flight responses.
Yeah.
The problem that happens in so many people is that imagine the fire alarm here in the room is so sensitive that if we now light an incense, it will immediately go on. And this is what I see in most people with dysregulated nervous systems. Their inner fire alarm is so sensitive that they immediately shoot out of their window of tolerance into fight flight. So your boss is looking at you a little bit strange and saying, hey, I really need to see you later for an interview. And you immediately go either into flight, suddenly you have belly cramps, and you're like, oh, sorry, I need to go, bye guys. Or you go immediately into fight, you talk to your colleague, oh, what does he want from me? And then, no, I really don't like him, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like a perceived threat, even though nothing has happened yet.
Yeah.
So it's really about, again, that nuance. There is healthy fight flight, and then there is fight flight that happens if we don't have a window of tolerance and if we just too easily shift into that highly activated sympathetic state.
Yeah. Do you think it comes from insecurity and deeper wounds? This sensibility to this fight or flight situation?
Yeah, I mean, deeper wounds, if we consider deeper wounds, you know, past trauma, I mean, some of us are just as well born with a more sensitive nervous system, highly sensitive people. Then many of us are as well, maybe with ADHD or autism, more sensitive nervous systems.
Yeah.
And I would say just in general, like the pace of the world has picked up so much. So I do say that I would say most people in a Western civilized country, like where we like just, you know, work and we don't like walk barefoot and we all have to kind of worry how are we going to pay the rent and this and that, right? Most of us are somehow in a heightened stress state.
Yes. And for example, how can I feel like when should I start to be worried about my nervous system? How does it shows? Physically or mentally or through behavior? How does it shows?
So mentally, it can show up through constant overthinking, ruminating thoughts, anxiety, or numbness, hopeless, feelings of despair. And of course, again, we have to put it into perspective, right? If you've just lost a loved one, it's very normal that you feel grief and hopeless.
Absolutely,
and, you know? But if you're maybe just moving through life, but you come home from work and you just doom scrolling and you don't really have a zest for life, you don't feel creative anymore, maybe you feel like, just life is passing by you, this can be a sign for nervous system dysregulation. Then, of course, on a physical level, chronic body pain, gut issues, hair loss, skin issues can be all linked to the nervous system. On an energetic level, very, very low energy all the time, or the feeling that your heart is racing like crazy. Then on a person-to-person level, if you always snap at other people, if you're just super rude, you know, a lot of people excuse themselves like, that's just how I am and that's my personality. Is it really, or is it just a survival mechanism?
Interesting. And you know, the reason I really want this episode to be created is because I've experienced nervous dysregulation few months ago. And I know that there are so many people, and especially women, but just because I'm surrounded mostly by women, that they experience these triggers and this issues that you mentioned. And I was like, I really need to make an episode about it because it seems so easy to say, okay, I just need to regulate my nervous system, but it's like an orchestra, no? It's just like you need to really soothe yourself with different practices. And I'm very glad that we're having this conversation because I think that a lot of people and a lot of girls can also empathize with that because it's a common problem that I keep on hearing. So it's so powerful that we're talking about it, and I'm glad that you are, telling us exactly how's the process and how can we overcome like this situation, because it is possible. Because, as you said, it's not normal to be under dysregulation all the time, because then you can have health issues and other issues. So it's very powerful. And what I also found very powerful is your mission with your business partner and achievher. Can you please talk and guide us through like what you are girls doing? Because I found it very, very inspiring.
Thank you so much. So No, I mean, as you can see, like this is my topic, right?
Yes.
Nervous regulation, breath
Yes.
work. I would say you could wake me up 4
Yes.
a.m. in the morning and I could talk to you about this. So at the Achiever Studio, we are very proud to say that we are the region's GCC's first somatic healing studio focused on somatic breathwork, somatic movement, and everything that's included, which then leads to more emotional awareness, emotional intelligence. We teach women how to track their own nervous system states, to just have more agency and to realize, oh, this is actually not my personality.
Yeah.
This has an underlying reason and I can take back my power and do something about it.
Yeah.
So every day in our studio, we see beautiful shifts and changes, women realizing, oh, I have so much more power than I thought.
Yeah.
Being much kinder, softer to themselves, tapping into their power. So we have different classes, different workshops.
Yeah.
And we just actually had a beautiful workshop last Saturday called From Freeze to Flow. So freeze is one of the nervous system states that we often find ourselves in after heightened distress and maybe over months or years even. And that was just so empowering to see how women allowed themselves to be more gentle, to cry, to come together in community, and to, especially in a place like Dubai that can sometimes seem a little bit superficial, to have a really safe space for women to come together and to realize, first of all, they're not alone, and to realize we thrive as women on oxytocin.
Yeah.
And on community, on connection.
True.
So
True.
that was a really powerful event.
Yeah. How did you girls come up with this idea? How did you girls meet? I want to know a little bit of backstory about it.
So Anna and myself, we went to Emirates International School.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, our studio now is located in the same street. So we always say
Wow, it's
jokingly,
destiny.
we didn't come far.
It's destiny.
And then we reconnected. So we weren't in touch for 20 years because I left Dubai when I was 16. I became a fashion model in Milan, which was highly nervous system dysregulating. Could do a whole episode on that.
I can imagine.
But then, we reconnected in 22, and we realized we've been on a different and somehow similar path.
Yeah.
And then we had so much shared values, shared interests.
Yeah,
and here we are.
amazing. Your experience as a model, do you think had an impact on the work that you're currently doing in a way that maybe you saw something that you thought, I think this needs to be different?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that my career as a model plus a few other things that happened like in my life with my family, they definitely added to the mix of my trauma.
Yeah.
So I would say that search that I mentioned earlier in the episode about there needs to be more to life was definitely fueled by that I found the fashion world to be quite superficial.
Yeah.
And people pleasing, another one that's very common in most women, I would say, was my default mode.
Yeah, especially being a model is not an easy ride for many different things. I guess also, I don't want to say body shaming, but you need to fit into a specific box.
Exactly.
Yeah, and what you're doing is actually so powerful because it's exactly the opposite. It's teaching to be authentic.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I really I often look back to the younger version of myself and I have so much love and compassion for her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, if you would know where you are like 20 years later, I'm so proud of you. And I guess if I would have had a regulated nervous system back then, I would have said, bye, guys.
Yes.
Like, I'm not going to let you treat me like this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something completely different. But, you know, we're so blinded and it's kind of so cool to say you're a model. And, you know, everyone is like, oh, my gosh, you're a model. But actually, you know, like, you don't really do anything.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to shame this profession. I've been a model for more than 20 years. But it's really about we place so much value on the wrong things, right?
Yeah.
On looks and this and that. And I love beauty. I mean, I love Dubai for its beauty and architecture and sophisticated restaurants.
Yeah.
And when it really comes down to what matters in life, it's so much simpler, right?
Yes.
It's connection.
Yeah.
It's feeling at peace inside of yourself. For me, it's nature. It's my cats, my partner, my friends, having honest conversations like this.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess I would have traveled a very different path if I
Yeah.
had the tools from now
Everything
back
happened
then.
for a reason, for sure.
For sure.
But it's so interesting to see that basically we try to put layers and try to overdo things when actually like the real health and happiness and stress free, I would say stress free is a big word, but try to be less stressed as possible. It's to come back to what really matters, which are very simple things. And some things are very, cost nothing, like a walk by the beach costs nothing, or like a conversation costs nothing. So it's beautiful to see that actually the thing that brings value to our life are very simple at the end of the day.
Very simple, yeah.
Yeah. So talking about, because you girls are coaching and teaching so many women, I guess, here in the region. So I am sure that the moment the women you're welcoming in the studio, they let go and they work on themselves. I am pretty sure that also their feminine energy will radiate a lot. So I know that now everyone is talking about masculine and feminine, and we don't necessarily want to touch base this, but I really want to know. I'm curious to know how much their feminine energy will come up after this work, because I'm sure it's very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the feminine to really blossom into her beauty needs safety.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And I know there are a lot of women out there who only blame it on the guys. I need a safe guy. I need a safe guy.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Again, nuanced conversation. Because first of all, you need to feel safe within yourself. And if you will have a very dysregulated nervous system, then you will try to find safety out there in a guy. But often when we have very dysregulated nervous systems, we feel more attracted to the bad boys.
Yeah.
And we feel attracted to the thrill, or we just don't have any boundaries in place. So we let other people treat us like...
Again, people pleasing. Yeah.
Exactly. So the more safety we have as women inside ourselves, the more we can play with our roles as a feminine being, and we can soften.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it comes from a place of strength, not obedience.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important, because now, like you said, right, there's so much talk in socials about feminine, masculine, but often it's this very patriarchal kind of femininity.
Yeah.
And I'm not a supporter of that. I'm really in support of that we have our integrated, healthy masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
And when we speak in nervous system language, I would say the integrated masculine is the place in us that can hold space for all the emotions, and the emotions is the feminine.
Yeah.
So it's again, nervous system regulation, just in a different language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what do you think is something that you heard about nervous system and breath working, or something about what you're doing that you're so wrong, and something that you heard that it's so right, but maybe is, underrated?
So what is so wrong is definitely, let's do the 5-step routine to calm your nervous system. Like a lot of people who are not so deep into it think, I need to have a calm nervous system.
Yeah.
No, I actually don't want you to have a calm nervous system. I want you to have a flexible nervous system, so that if there is real danger or a threat, I want you to fight, flight. I want you to do something
You're
about
not
it.
numb. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people confuse this spiritual numbness with, I'm just floating above everything and love and light. No, that's often just very dissociated.
Yeah.
So that's my take on having a calm nervous system.
Yes.
And what's underrated, I think, is just real nervous system regulation and real deep inner work is very boring. And there's so much beauty in its simplicity. It's not, and I know there are going to be some people who are probably going to hate me now, and I'm going to be okay with it. It's like, it's not dressing up as a shaman and wearing the feathery earrings. And, I always need to cleanse the room before. And by the way, I love Palo Santo. I light it in my house almost every day. But, there's so much performance out there around healing, and especially in this wellness scene. So healing is sitting with yourself in the discomfort.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't need a $5,000 retreat. And at the same time, we're going to offer beautiful retreats from next year on. And if you want to go on a retreat, do it.
Yeah.
So it's again not either or, but it's about knowing, maybe this retreat will be really good to deepen the practices, to connect with like-minded women, etc. But the real deep healing happens in everyday life, sitting with yourself, and not the perfectly portrayed Instagram-like.
Yeah.
Kind
I'm so
of
glad
healing.
you said that. I'm so glad you said that because basically in every episode, I'm trying to say, watch out about what you're looking at on social media when it comes to wellness.
Yes. Yeah, especially now with the rise. And like, I'm saying this with so much love and care because I've been there myself, right?
Yeah.
I've done all the ayahuasca ceremonies, iboga, like I
It's
literally
nice to
taught
try,
every
yeah.
plant medicine. But are we using these methods to, again, it's like a kind of fake persona, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, now I'm the seeker and I'm just like, going from ceremony to ceremony. Oh, have you actually considered to maybe integrate
Yeah.
what came up for you in ceremony like you did 3 months ago?
Yeah.
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 But that's just my take on things. And for some other people, it might work. And
Absolutely. I think it's nice to also experience and try things, but it's so, what really matters is like taking what really like works for you, and maybe something they're not working for you, and that's fine. And you know exactly what works for you. And okay, my body now needs this, and maybe one day my body needs something completely different, but I know how to balance it. So I completely, I think you touch base a very interesting topic. So again, about what you're doing with achievher, which is because you girls are doing this, and I so purposeful. I said that, purposeful, which is your like the best thing that you took from the business that you're running with Anna. What really makes you happy?
it's just the little moments. Like on Saturday, we had a few women that are regulars. They come to our events and they say, "Oh, I don't even know what today is about." They post something, I book it because I trust them and I know it's going to be an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And another lady said in that same workshop, this is just such a safe space to be in.
Yeah.
And these are like the moments when I just like feel so filled with joy, and I know like I'm doing the right thing.
Nice. I love that. And for example, if a person, a girl wants to come and experience what you are doing, so tell us exactly what you girls are doing and your mission, your vision. And for example, imagine that I want to come to you because I want to maybe sort out what is going on with me, and I want to fix my nervous system. So what would you recommend? So if you really need to tell me what you're doing, what is it?
So first of all, I would invite you to not say fix.
Yeah.
Because this is again,
I knew that.
mindset that you're wrong and broken.
Yeah.
I would invite you to come to either my Sanctuary Somatic Breathwork sessions, which I facilitate monthly, or to the Somatics Beginner course. I would say this is our foundational course, which is literally life-changing. We had such amazing feedback from the women that it has impacted how they show up as mothers, in their job, as wives or girlfriends or sisters.
Yeah.
Where they learn about the different nervous system states, how they can shift out of them back into that connected state to themselves.
Yeah.
And then we have the practice. The practice is our somatic movement 90-minute experience, which includes the somatic movement, some emotional literacy, guided journaling, some breath work. So if you just want to have an experience, kind of dip your toe in, I would always recommend come to the practice.
Yeah.
And then we're currently working on some really cool formats, which we will launch during summer and post-summer around Soul Sculpt, which is going to be a somatic sculpt series. Because, We do regulate the nervous system. At the same time, we are a bit vain, Don't we all want to have a nice toned bum or strong arms?
Of course.
So we have an amazing teacher that joined us now for Soul Sculpt, which is a format that we've created, which targets a woman that wants to work out, but first of all, doesn't want to be yelled at.
Yeah.
Who wants to work in tune with her cycle, with her nervous system, and who just wants to be in a community of like-minded women, maybe, as well, who are going through perimenopause, menopause, and just a different take on the fitness scene.
Nice. Oh my God, I'm so enchanted. I want to be part of it immediately. I want to try. So what's your daily routine, actually? I really want to know.
Yes. So my daily routine is that I don't have a routine that is set in stone.
Okay.
Because again, right, we are cyclical beings, the feminine cycle. I have days where I would try to wake up around 6 and then go for my morning walk.
Yeah.
On other days when I have like late clients the night before, then I just say, okay, you know what, I'm going to sleep in a little bit. So I'm very, very, like my routine is to make sure that I have at least 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
To have, 30 to 50 grams of protein for breakfast.
Yeah.
I try to have my coffee post-breakfast. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Not always possible.
Yeah.
So I have these little rituals that I sprinkle throughout the day, but I really tune into myself, right?
Okay.
On some days, I don't feel like going for a walk in the morning, and I feel like maybe just doing some fascia flossing and some nervous system regulation. Yeah. On other days, I start with a little bit of breath work. So it's, again, attuning to what does my body need.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And can you please tell us where we can find you? And do you have a space, right, where we can go and experience all this beautiful service and what you're doing? Yeah.
Yes. So we have a beautiful space, which is already a serene space that even if you don't attend a class, just come, look out of the window, and your nervous system will be more at ease because we have a beautiful ocean view.
Amazing.
And we don't have mirrors for a reason as well, because we don't want women to be out there, but actually really focused on themselves. So
interesting.
Studio, yes. So our studio is located very conveniently in Am Sukim, close to Burj Al Arab and Mayan Mall. That's our location. Then you can find us, of course, on Instagram, achievher, or myself, Constanze Witzel.
Yes.
I'm sure you're going to link that.
Of course.
Then we just launched our very low-key little podcast series for women that are curious to kind of get to know us a little bit better. And we have our online studio. Because, of course, now with everyone traveling or in generally, right, Dubai is a very transient place.
Yeah.
We said, hey, let's create an online studio so women can work with us even when they're not in Dubai.
I find, that's the best, actually.
Or when they're traveling.
Perfect. One last piece of advice to a girl that, again, is struggling with herself and the first thing that you can recommend to actually step into the healing journey.
I definitely want this to be profound as my last sentence. It's definitely stop looking out there and stop trying to fix yourself, right? We as women are so inclined to think, if I just look better, then I would get the right guy. If I would be just skinnier, I would be happy. And it's just not true. Like, you can feel so much love and abundance and joy when you are in a connected state. Because this is actually, and I know it sounds super cheesy, and when I was in a very, very depressed period of my life, it was really triggering for me to hear this, but joy and love and peace is actually our birthright.
Yeah.
And when we are in these stress states, we can't access it. But the more we regulate and the more we live in our ventral vagal state, a little bit of nerdy language here, we can then access joy, love, pleasure through the body.
I love that. Thank you so much, Constance, to be with us. It was such a powerful conversation. And guys, I'll see you on the next episode.